Hi and welcome to Moncats. My name is Monica, and for today's video, it's not a makeup tutorial. It's actually kind of like an adjunct video of what I'm doing on Instagram, which is talking about mental health. I've struggled with anxiety and depression for the past 2 to 3 years of my life. And I was lucky enough to get help and to treat it as time has passed by. And in one of the lowest points of my depression, my psychologist asked, what did it feel for me? And what it felt for me was that the way I saw it was that I believe that people have colors that give them purpose and define them, and I felt like I had no color, like I had no purpose, I had no meaning. I felt very empty and isolated from the world and from myself. And so he asked me, what color would you like to be? And my answer was blue, because to me blue is strong, it's adventurous, it's stubborn, it's soft, and it isn't afraid to make mistakes, and it takes risk, and it's passionate, and it brings that passion and love from itself to others, and that's what I want to be. And so now that I've talked a little about me and like why I'm doing this and what it means to me, what I want to become, and what I'm working forward to, I wanted to take a chance to actually talk about the things that have helped me. I am not a psychologist. I have no knowledge, like no professional knowledge, but I do know that a lot of people feel like me and are afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to tell family or to tell friends because they're embarrassed of what others might think and what will happen if you're the damaged son or daughter of the family. And it's overwhelming, and I understand it, and I've been there, and I felt ashamed, and for the longest time I felt ashamed, and I felt like I couldn't tell my parents. I couldn't tell my parents because it meant that I was ashamed of the family. It meant that I was damaged, and there was no way of fixing me, and they had to live with it, and everyone would know, and I was damaged, and everyone would know that, and no one would want to get near me because I was kind of crazy, and I had mental problems. And so with this video, like, my point is to maybe encourage others and to make it easier for other people to talk about their stories and to ask for help, because at the end of the day, that's the biggest step, is to ask for help. And in my experience, the moment I literally built the courage up to talk to my dad, especially because it was very hard for me to speak to my dad about it, because we never talked about personal things, like in general, we never did, and it was very hard for me to ask for help, because I didn't think he would understand, and I didn't know how to put it in a way that he would understand, because I didn't even understand how I felt. How could I tell someone else how I felt? And what I did is I told him specific situations that happened to me, whether at work or with friends, and how they made me feel. And when you put your feelings and whatever you're going through, whether it's anxiety or depression, when you put it in one situation that triggers you or that makes it easier to visualize it for someone else, it clicked. At least it clicked for me. The moment I told my dad, not that I felt depressed, but a situation where it made me feel more depressed, he understood. The moment he saw a moment that bothered me, that triggered me, he could see it and he could actually act on it, or he could actually understand it. And for me, it meant the world that he could understand where I was coming from, and that it wasn't me being sad, and that it wasn't just a moment, that it was actually a health issue. And this also happened with my friend. I didn't think she would understand when I'd say I was depressed. I didn't think she would. I thought she'd be like, hey, I don't know what that is. I don't, you deal with your own problem, or like, I can't help you. I can be there for you. And she surprised me being the most understanding person. Even if she didn't know exactly what I was going through, she was there. And that helps so much when it doesn't matter that they can't fix it, but the fact that they're there and then they're willing to support you. That is going to change the way you feel and see things, and it's going to make you feel like you're less alone, and it's just going to open you up more to more possibilities. And so my number one thing that has helped me has been asking for help. That has been the number one thing. So I know that it's hard to actually go to a doctor's office. What I wish for is for people to feel fine doing that, because there's absolutely nothing wrong. If you would take a pill for a headache, why wouldn't you take it for depression? It's the same thing. It's a sickness, and you take a pill to make it better. And so while I understand this, I understand that also it's expensive. I know that in some places it can be expensive. I have linked down below a website of online therapy, which is like $20. I think it's Spanish and English, so whichever language you speak. It's online, no one else would know, and it's your personal way of getting help if you're not ready to tell friends or family. I mean, the point at the end of the day is for you to get help. So it would be get help, talk to your friends and family. Third, I wanted to speak about some things that have helped me while I wasn't looking for, well, by this point I did look for help, but things that helped me on the side. First, it has been this book, Unlearn, by Humble the Poet. I have not finished it. It's one that I bought recently, but I've been going through it pretty quickly, and it changes your perspective a lot about things, and it just makes you see things differently, that it isn't just about you, and that it isn't the end of the world, and that things can get better if you work on it. Like, you have to read it. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to read it, and I think it's one of the books that has influenced me the most in the recently. It has been one of the ones that have helped me the most to battle through it. Even if I feel like scared out of my mind, it makes me feel powerful. And I think that's what most of us feel like. We're powerless to our situations and our lives, and that makes us feel very, very depressed and anxious. So I think it's a really good book. Also, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That was a really good one. This was before I got help. It helped me a lot to change perspective. I think it's like, at the end of the day, it's a matter of changing perspective and working constantly on it. When I read this, I really liked it, but I didn't apply it. And so now that I reread it, it's like taking the small steps to actually doing something, because at the end of the day, you have to learn. Like, it doesn't matter if you go get help or if you tell someone, if you don't take the steps, it's not going to get better. As much as I would love for it to be, to absorb knowledge and not do anything about it, because the hard part is doing something about it. And I'm just talking about my experience and what has helped and what has not helped. So I also had the encounters of people not understanding my illness, or not being the most supportive. And so I've also linked down below how to deal with people with, or how to help people with anxiety and depression, in Spanish and in English, because I feel like many people cannot spot. They cannot spot it, and because you don't see it, you're not careful for what you say, even though you should be in general, but you're not careful for what you say, you're not careful for what you do, and maybe you're not being helpful to the situation because you don't know how to manage it. So I thought it would be helpful to also have those links down below. And honestly, this is a very short video. I just want you to take the time to think about yourself or someone else who might be dealing with this or any other mental health issues, and just consider getting help. Consider helping someone getting help. Consider being more aware of the people around you, about how they are. Maybe the more aware you are of what the symptoms are, the more you can help someone else, or the more you can help yourself. Because when you know where something is coming from, you can take it from the roots. And that has been my journey. I mean, I'm still working on my roots. I haven't really figured them all out, but it's part of the journey to move forward. You need to look back. You need to look back on what is triggering you, what is working you, what is making you feel this way. And that would be my advice to you. Get help and get to the root of your problems, and don't be afraid to talk about it. Because the more you talk about it, the more normal it gets. And the more normal it gets, the smaller it gets, you know? It honestly, like, it really gets smaller, and you get more powerful the more you talk about it, the more you dismiss it as something big. Or actually, I won't tell you to not be afraid, because it is scary to share that. It is scary, especially in a world that judges and turns away from this. But what I would tell you is, even if you're dying inside, even if you're scared out of your mind, that's where you need to say it. And that's what makes it smaller, because you're pushing past your fears, you're going beyond them, and you're getting over them. And that's the way to I wouldn't say make them go away, but it certainly makes it a lot easier to deal with them when they're not your limit. And that's what I leave you with today. Just work on your fears and go out there and get some help, because you're worth it. We're all worth it. We're all worth the help. We're all worth getting better. And I hope you know that deeply, sincerely, from my heart. I hope you know that. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.